Hello and welcome into Sports and Shenanigans, where women's sports and pop culture collide right here on the Kansas City Sports Network. My name is Jillian Carol Latrinko. I'm your host, and as always, we have to take a moment and shout out our presenting partner, Cherry. They're a women-owned sports and lifestyle brand that aims to celebrate and elevate female athletes, and that's what we're doing today on Sports and Shenanigans. I'm actually incredibly excited about today's chit-chat, today's interview, because this amazing woman has been on my list for quite some time, but she's been incredibly busy. If you are in the Kansas City area or work in Major League Soccer, the chances of you knowing our guest are very, very high. Her name is Chioma Atanmo. She is the Senior Director of Community Impact and of the Victory Project at Sporting Kansas City, and just an overall baddie. Chioma, I'm so excited. We finally were able to get you on the show. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here and I'm doing well this week. It's cooled off. So I was able to crack my window open this morning and just enjoy the cooler weather. So I'm doing good this week.
Yeah, it's the little things sometimes. Just a breath of fresh air, right? Well, I know that you have been incredibly busy. You had a wildly successful major event, which we'll get into obviously, but anytime you are working in sports, you're busy every week. Every single week brings a new lots of things, right? Um, so we know that you work in MLS, so you work for Sporting Kansas City, but we want to know more about you. You have such a unique and very powerful story and journey. So let's take it back to young Chioma and kind of your journey through sports with soccer and maybe how it inspired you to pursue a career in sports.
Yeah, like, as you were saying that, I was just like, how far back do I go? Because sports, I feel like, has just played such a powerful role in my life for so long. And I'll go back to, so first off, my parents immigrated to the States from Nigeria. I was born and raised in the Bay Area, California. And um, unfortunately, my father was deported back to Nigeria when I was in sixth grade. And so my mom became a single parent of six kids. I'm the second oldest. And after that, sports now became this place for me to just like kind of like rediscover the world because my parents were pastors. And so like we were in the church multiple times a week, and sports became, yeah, this outlet where when my mom became a single parent, a lot of my teammates, their parents, they really stepped up to, pick me up from practice, take me to games. My mom was working multiple jobs just to provide for all of the kids. And so, yeah, I just feel like sports just became this safe place for me. I thought I was going to play in the World Cup. I just remember Brandy Chastain taking her shirt off. I remember seeing Brianna Scurry and just being like, okay, I see myself in her. And that was what I thought was going to be my future. But unfortunately, I had a knee injury. I wasn't able to play soccer in college, but crazy enough, I had a friend who worked in the career services department, and she reached out like, hey, I remember you love soccer, and there's this company called FC Tucson, and they're looking for interns. Are you interested? Because how would I have known about this opportunity? I said yes. And that was my way to get plugged into the game. And for a lot of people who, you play a sport, you're no longer able to play that sport. You're struggling with your identity. And, my being Nigerian, the joke is you're either a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or a failure, because those are the only career paths that, our parents grew up understanding that was what made money. That's what would provide for their kids. And so they wanted their kids to have a good living. So when I started to pursue sports, like my family was just like, what's wrong with you? I don't understand this. Why are you, why do you like this game so much? And a lot of people who've worked in the sports industry, like people, you start off with internships, you have your entry level role. I know it's not talked about a lot, but the pay when you first start off in the sports industry is not great. So, a lot of people who have made it this long, I'm now hitting 15 years in the industry. It's like, I feel like you have to have a real love for the game. So, yeah, even just throughout my time of, playing sports, I also ran track. I played volleyball. My mom moved us to Arizona and ended up opening up a nursing home. So I have this also random background in being a CNA. And I would say that that time taught me because I worked there up until I moved to Kansas City in 2018. And working there, helping my mom out, first off, seeing her pursuing entrepreneurship, her looking after loved ones, also navigating what people that are at their end of life and talking with them of what they wish they would have done, what regrets they had. So that also fueled me to, let me pursue this path that I don't have family that can relate to this, but I feel like there's something for me here. And I just kept feeling a tug and a pull to stay in the industry and then just keep asking for more responsibilities. And I've held positions in soccer with FC Tucson, game operations. I was the assistant fitness coach for the men's and women's team. Team administration, and then moved over to sporting in 2018. Started off in the youth soccer department before moving over to the Victory Project in 2020. And so this is now my 8th season with sporting. And so it's just been so crazy of just all the different twists and turns. And I always get the question from people who want to work in the sports industry of like, what do I need to do first? And it's kind of just like, just say yes to stuff, figure out what you like, what you don't like. But all of those paths have helped me get to exactly where I am today. So, yeah.
And there's so much amazing, so many little nuggets throughout there, but your journey again, just so unique. And I appreciate the transparency and the way that you're able to articulate the impact that sports had on you as a young child and a big family and a working mom. It seemed like it was almost like your stability, your escape from maybe a little bit of chaos. But I think that's so powerful to highlight that your soccer career, your sports career was able to impact you so in such a way, which is incredible. And then I just have to know, I mean, where do you get your drive? Because look at what you've already accomplished. You kind of prevailed from what you could say is a tough situation in the formative years to playing college, obviously starting your career. And I love that you mentioned internships. We know how important those are, but you just kept going. And it's like, add another skill to the toolkit. Like,
Yeah.
what motivates you to do that?
I will say, like, I've seen my mom work so hard. I've seen my siblings work so hard. I would say a lot of my siblings were in, I would say, like non-traditional careers. There's also a stubbornness to prove people wrong because, again, your parents want what's best for you. And I just had this drive to like prove everybody wrong and make a path for myself. And even when I first entered the industry in my internship years, like a lot of times I was the only woman in the room. I was the only person of color in the room. And so people would write me off. And there are times where I was just like, okay, this person said this to me, mark my words. And funny enough, it's like I'm running into that person 10 years later, just like, hi, I'm still here and look where I am. And look, like your words, how you treated me didn't affect me. It only fueled me. So I definitely think that I'm driven and motivated to prove people wrong. But also I think too, when you've seen your parents work so hard, it's also just like how dare I not try? How dare I not try to make a path and name for myself? So I would say it's a combination of all of those.
Yeah. Incredible. Incredible. And, hats off to you. 15 years in the business, 8 with Sporting Kansas City. 15 years anywhere is grueling. It is tough. 15 years in sports is like, I don't even know how to equate it to the time, the commitment, etc. But that's phenomenal. And you continue to be a just a motivation for everyone around you. I'm so happy that you did bring up just some of the challenges that you've experienced being a woman in a male dominated world or space, if you will, then be a woman of color, really in the sports space. And I'd love to just understand maybe some of the challenges specific to that, specific to being the only woman in a space, the only person of color in a space. What have some of those been, and how have you navigated them?
Yeah, I would say like there's that popular quote of you can't be what you don't see. And so I will say there were a lot of men in my within like my first couple years of working in sports who have definitely helped provide a model for what I should be doing. But I was just seeking out women in the space and I didn't see a lot. I did have one, Kate Norton, who was just such a role model for me during my time at FC Tucson, and I still keep in touch with her today. And the part that I struggled with the most is like being in your 20s, you don't really know who you are, and so when you're trying to mirror the people around you, and there were some people that I would mirror back their energy, how they behaved, and it just was not for me, but that was all I could see. And so in my 20s, it was just a lot of, okay, who am I? What are my values? What are my morals? What will I stand for? Oh, I don't like the way that person said that, or I don't like the way that person made me feel. So let me make sure that I don't do that. So I would say the hardest part is just figuring out like what my identity was in my 20s. And then being a woman, being a person of color, and sometimes I feel like people would just assume that you're there to, find a husband, or you're just there to look cute, or you don't really know your stuff. And so I would run myself ragged of, being the first one there, the last one to leave. So if anybody had anything to complain about, it was not my work ethic. It was not the documents that I was producing. So I felt like there was this drive to almost like go into overdrive of making sure that I knew what I was doing. Um, and ultimately, that track record over the years helped build, sponsors and allies along the way where, if I encountered somebody new within my 5th year, I had people that were standing up for me of like, oh, no, 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 don't play with her. She's good. No, she's one of the good ones. Like, let's, or somebody would try to like, I had people now that had my back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hard. It was hard, especially when you don't see people that look like you. You're kind of just like, okay, am I supposed to be here? Like, how am I supposed to act? Okay, this person's treating me weird. Is it because of my skin color? Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because they just had a bad day? So I felt like I was constantly having these like mental gymnastics of trying to shapeshift to make myself palatable for the room. And over the years, I've gained that confidence of just, okay, I have this track record. I've done the work. I know people. I can call on people. I have proven to myself that I'm supposed to be here. I deserve to be here. I know probably more than you. I'm also can call on this person if I don't have the confidence to answer something of just like, what, I don't have the answer, but I know somebody who can get the answer for me because I've built this, Rolodex of people who I can call on. So it's definitely had its ups and downs, but like I don't regret anything because it's all built the confidence that I have today. And every now and then, I'm not saying that I don't have those moments of imposter syndrome. I still run into it. And there are times where I am not fully prepared. And I'm just like, okay, I need to, hype myself up.
Yeah.
But it never fully goes away. But I would say now in my mid 30s, all of those years, I don't regret that soul searching that I had to do over the years.
Yeah, I love it. Just dropping bombs out here. Just the finding those women in your space, finding those allies in your space, but then also shifting into the no, I deserve to be here. Here's why. Let me show you. Oh, I love it. I love it. And of course, your track record has done so much to explain not the credibility, not only just your character, but what you're able to do. You're such an asset to Sporting Kansas City. And when we come back, I want to hear all about some of the things that you do on your day-to-day basis as far as Senior Director of Community Impact. That itself is a huge role. Then you add in the Victory Project, and that's another huge role. So let's take a second, step aside, Chioma. When we return, we will jump into kind of some of the specifics that you're doing. All right, guys, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event?
Welcome back. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for sticking with us on Sports and Shenanigans. We're joined with Senior Director of Community Impact and the Victory Project at Sporting Kansas City, the one and only Chioma Atanmo. And Chioma, I believe this is a recent promotion, the Senior Director of Community Impact and Victory Project. So congratulations to you on that. But I'd love to hear kind of what you do in that space, in that role, and selfishly, how you feel your unique perspective as a woman, as a person of color over community impact, how that makes everything so successful for you.
Yeah, when I first got to Sporting in 2018, working in the youth soccer department, I oversaw our tournaments and events for a lot of our rec, adult league, and competitive soccer. And I had a lot of teams, coaches that were just like, hey, we would love to be a part of your program. It was almost like because I was new, it was a great way for me to talk about the new programming that we offered. But throughout my youth soccer time, I was able to get to meet just a lot of variety of different coaches and teams. And oftentimes a lot of, teams that weren't able to afford to even participate in our tournaments. Mm-hmm. So that kind of planted the seed of how we expanded the mission of the Victory Project in 2021. So in 2021, the Victory Project was on our Jersey front, and that's when I moved over. 2020 is when I transitioned over to the Victory Project. And to launch that expansion of the mission was just probably one of the proudest career moments I had, because it went from, okay, here's the first 2 years of my time here. I'm collecting data from the community. I'm learning about what the needs are. I'm able to, I was polling our fans, our partners, our players, coaches, leadership team of just how can we do more in the community. And so we added in Soccer for All Kids, helping kids with disabilities get access to soccer, and then helping kids with financial needs play the game. And that was just, we started a grant program. It's called our Soccer Assist Grant. So we give out anywhere from $500 to $2,500 to nonprofit groups to help them play soccer. Since we launched that in 2022, we've given out over $500,000. And then we also launched a scholarship program called our Emerging Sports Leaders Scholarship. And we've given out a little over $65,000 to help high school seniors pursue their career or continue their education. It doesn't necessarily have to be a university. It could be a trade school, a community college. And what was it? We work with Special Olympics. We have our unified team. And so those are some of the new programs that we launched within the Soccer for All Kids space, and just making sure that we're collecting soccer balls and jerseys and cleats and shin guards, and making sure that kids also have the equipment to play. And then we doubled down on our original pillar of helping kids with cancer and supporting their lives, enriching their lives. And so we have our honoree program, which is what most people are familiar with, where every home game we recognize a kiddo who has been battling cancer, who is in remission. Cancer's played a part of their story. Since we've done that in 2017, we've recognized over 250 honorees. And September 7th is our Kick Childhood Cancer Night. And every year we invite all of those honorees back. So it's just been this really cool, it's been really cool to have the autonomy and the flexibility to create new programs, to respond to what the needs are in the community. Another platform we launched last year is our Sporting Cares program, which is our emergency response fund. So It goes out to supporting people who've had any type of family tragedy, any natural disaster, and then school supply drives, blood supply drives. So I'm listing off all of these things, but that has been so fun to just be a part of. And we've been able to grow our team. So from youth soccer to Victory Project, I branched off to create our community impact department in 2023, was able to add a member to our team. And then, just recently in January, now I oversee the Victory Project and community impact. And so it's been humbling to see how sporting has trusted me to do, because sometimes I'm just like, I have this idea and they're just like, okay, let's see how it goes. And it's to have the support and to have even just the support from all the departments, because I cannot do my work without our marketing team, without our events team, without our communications team, without our accounting team. I talk to students all the time about all the different roles that are in sports. It's like, it's not just the talent on the field or the people behind the camera. There's so many different ways to be involved in sports. But yeah, I love that they've trusted me to, keep creating new things. So
As they should. You've done nothing but proven that you, again, are credible and going to get the job done, whatever the job is. So that's incredible. I appreciate you sharing that. I did not realize you sort of branched off and started that community impact side. And that right there, just trailblazing through an industry that is very difficult for anyone to level up in, I would say. So amazing. And I feel like it gets back to kind of what sounds like are some of your grounding pillars, your work ethic, getting things done, making sure that whatever you're asking for, you've intentionally thought through and planned for. And now look at this. So congrats. That's amazing. Everything that you all do at the Victory Project is wildly impactful. If you're in Kansas City, you know that. Even in MLS, I think the Victory Project is one of the foundations that could be posed as an example of how to successfully operate and really make lasting impacts in the community. So that's incredible. But then also now senior director of a community impact department that you asked to start. Wow, this is incredible. So I'm so glad that we're able to shine a spotlight on you. And again, don't want to come back and say well, how hard was that? And who tried to stop you? I don't want to take that. I just don't feel like that's your vibe. But I also am so curious as to when you're approaching, your senior, whether it be the president, Jake Reed, or whoever, how confident are you when you sit down and you're like, this is what I want to do. Here's our plan. I think we can do this. Talk to me about those conversations.
Yeah, I'll say the supervisors I've had before I was leading both of the departments were very open and transparent in terms of just making sure that I felt comfortable approaching any senior leader. When I first moved to Kansas City, my goal was every meeting that happens in this club should have one advocate for me, whether that is, I think people always think that you have to go to the top, and that is who should know what you're doing and they should be your best friend. But I make sure to network across horizontally, vertically, and taking the time to just say hi to people, genuinely ask how they're doing, trying to remember certain facts about people. And, if I went to the coffee shop, by bringing a cookie, just little things just to help break up how fast paced and chaotic our days are. So when I first started here, I felt like I felt very comfortable approaching our senior leadership team. They also make sure that they're very approachable. They have an open door policy. I can go into Jake's office anytime and just be like, hey, do you have 5 minutes? And he's just like, sure, but what's up? So, but also just, I over communicate the work that I'm doing, the work that my team is doing to my senior leader. So Sandra Moore is our chief marketing officer who joined our club last year. So it's, I think when you are telling people what you're doing, you shouldn't look at it as you're showing off or people need to know. It's our days are just so chaotic. And I think if you think that people are paying attention to what you're doing without you telling them, then people are going to assume that you're maybe not doing the things you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, I always felt very comfortable approaching them, but I always believe in over communicating, even if it's something small of like, hey, did you know that this person on my team, this is a win that they had? Did you know that project that you saw we got glowing reviews from, it was not me, it was them. So also making sure that we're sharing the love, and I am not able to do the things that I'm doing like on my own, or else I would drive myself crazy.
Yeah, you sound like you've nailed the team player approach and allowing all to kind of get a glimpse into what you and your team are doing, and that mentality of vertical and horizontal relationship building is so cool. And I'm just curious if it sounds like sporting has a wonderful culture that you feel that you are supported as potentially one of the fewer women in the office. I actually don't know numbers. This is funny, Chioma. I don't know if I ever told you. I was with the club in 2017. So we literally just missed each other.
Just missed each other. Yes, yes. I heard so much about you. Just like, oh, so sweet. I missed you. Yeah.
I can't believe the timing. But would you say, as far as just like representation, within your club, it sounds like the culture is phenomenal, which is great. And do you have any perspective on across the league? Maybe are all clubs following suit? Because it sounds like sporting, again, um, uplifts and allows all voices to be heard. And I guess just like your take on the landscape of women who work in sports,
Yeah.
the improvements that we've seen, probably some more work to
Yeah.
be done, but in your spaces, how is that compare league wide, do you think?
I would say when I first started like working in FC Tucson in Arizona, we would host MLS preseason. So we had 4 clubs, and then it grew to 16 clubs using our facilities for preseason.
Wow. Yeah.
And so the staff was mainly male dominated. I would say the teams that I see now, there's definitely more female staff. There's definitely more people of color on the staff, but I think for me, I want to look at it as like, how long are they staying in their roles? Because I think sports isn't for everybody. I think it's sexy to say you work for a sports team. It's cool to say you work for a sports team. So we get a lot of people that will come in, but they don't stay. And so I would say there's definitely more representation, but I want to see the numbers on retention, because I think that's where we probably have more work to do. Making sure that people feel, and I'm not talking about like specifically sporting, it's more of just like across the board, is people need to feel comfortable taking time off. People need to feel comfortable, just people need to feel comfortable. Just if you need time away because things get chaotic, that you're not going to be punished for it. And when I first worked in sports, that was not the case, because it was you're not committed. If you're not living, breathing, and eating this, then like you're not a team player. And I feel like there's definitely a lot more balance now, where it's almost like you're looked at sideways if you're like too all in. Because just like, it's like, wait, you haven't taken a day off in how long? Or wait, you're telling me that you don't know any other, so you have no hobbies because you only do this. So I think now there's more conversations where it's switched a little bit, but main thing is for retention. How long are people staying in the roles once they're coming in?
Oh, I think that's an incredibly intelligent perspective. And again, through your 15 years in Sports 8 with sporting, we need more women like you who are coming in and humble and putting in the work and then climbing the ladder, and every opportunity you get, you're given a new responsibility or a new opportunity and you come in and you crush it. So retention is something you model, which is amazing. But I think it's also just a really good point to bring up. To your point, sports, we both know intimately can take it out of you. It's not for everyone, like you mentioned. So, but it is good to hear that you are seeing just more representation, and I think, as women in female leagues or just sports leagues in general,
Yeah.
there's so much attention on it now. So, we're making improvements, as you mentioned, as a whole. But yeah, more work to be done. But I would love to know again, because you've just been such an example. Um, how do you feel your unique backgrounds? Obviously, you mentioned randomly being a CNA. That you have so many talents and just a wealth of perspective. And how has that kept you going? Just the fact that you do have such a wellness minded background.
Yeah, I would say like it's I I feel comfortable in a lot of different worlds, a lot of different rooms. Like I talked about how my parents are immigrants from Nigeria. I went to Nigeria in 2023. I plan to go back for Christmas this year. Um, Being in a male dominated space, and then my team right now is all women, and that requires a different part of me. And I go home and then my family has no idea what I do, and they're just like, she's a soccer coach, and I'm like, okay. So and then also, like working on the with our players to get them plugged into the community. We have, I would say, now 12 different countries represented on our team, so understanding what their passions are, how they want to get plugged into the community, making sure that they feel comfortable in the rooms and the opportunities that we're setting up. And at Sporting, we have over 225 full-time people. So my team, we organize all the volunteer opportunities for the front office. So understanding the needs of our front office team. And so, yeah, I think for me, like I exist in so many worlds. So I try to always lead with a lens of curiosity, of just, you can be an expert in your thing, I can be an expert in my thing. It doesn't mean that I'm better or you're better, but we can learn from each other. And I'm always trying to learn something. Like I'm learning a new language right now. I love to read. Like my siblings, they're nerds too. So it's like I feel like yeah, I'm allowed to exist differently in a lot of different worlds, and I feel comfortable. And again, that comes with age. So I don't want somebody young listening to this and being like, how do I get there? I'm like, it takes experience, it takes time, but not being afraid to enter those rooms, not being afraid to exist as you are in those rooms. And when I first worked in sports, I like didn't wear makeup. I had my hair in a bun. I couldn't look like I was, too girly because I was working with men. And then year over year, as I started to build a reputation for myself, it was like, okay, I can be a little bit more of myself. I do like to wear makeup. I do like to wear mascara. I do like to do my hair. I do like to, I'm not so serious. It's like I should have fun with my work. And so it takes time. But again, I think for me, I've existed in so many different worlds. So all of those unique perspectives, I'm able to offer that in rooms. And when somebody says something that I'm just like, I will say I've had to get better at offering suggestions, because sometimes my face says, I know you did not just say that, but
Sometimes you just have to keep it real, though. Also,
So you're kind of just like, let me break down my thoughts so I can say it without, but again, I've been exposed to a lot of different ways to do things, and I'm coming to terms with my way of doing things now. So
okay, that's incredible in itself. I have to know what language you're learning now.
yeah, so I'm trying to get better at my Spanish.
Okay.
I am also learning my native tongue, Igbo.
Wow.
So
okay.
yeah. So
Exciting.
That is one thing that my family shamed me for when in 2023 when I did not know how to say common phrases. So I told them when I come back, I will know more things than I can say I do.
Good for you. We'll have to get an update. I love that. No, but that's incredible. And again, just it takes time. What you've built, you've evolved and evolved beautifully at that. And then I just know that you have other passions outside of the world of sports that maybe tie in a way. How would you say that your passion for wellness supports you on a daily basis?
Yeah, so my degree's in nutritional science and chemistry. When I graduated from the University of Arizona, I thought I was going to be a sports dietitian. I When I was no longer playing sports, I didn't know how to eat right anymore, and my exercising was off. And I had a lot of my former teammates that were just like, hey, I know that you're experimenting on yourself of just how to be healthy again, because I was posting on social media that I was doing workouts for free on campus, or I created a internship program with our nutritional science school and merged it with our with the FC Tucson internship while MLS teams were there for preseason. And so for me, I will credit that I've lasted this long in sports because I've learned how to take care of my body. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but having that knowledge of what foods I need to be eating, um, what times do I need to stop drinking coffee, because there's a scientific reason to stop drinking coffee after 12 p.m. I took a course called Nutrition Anthropology where I learned about the different diets that people grew up eating. And so for me, with my background being from Nigeria, what foods did my ancestors eat that I need to incorporate in my diet? And I started to do more of that. And so for me, if I learned the science behind and the why I need to do something, then it helps me stay more accountable to that. So for me, I just love teaching people about the different ways they can take care of themselves. I don't think wellness has a one size fits all approach. Whenever I give presentations, I often reference blue zones because it talks about how there were 5 different parts of the world where people live over the age of 100. And there's no textbook way for all of them to do that. They all had their own unique ways of, incorporating like physical, mental, spiritual well-being into their life. And so that has played a big part. I also am a woman of faith. And so I credit that, my relationship with God has also helped where there are times where you're just like, I know I am not crazy. This did not just happen today. And having a spiritual practice that grounds me along with how I treat my physical body is really important. And so for me, it's giving people permission to explore what that looks like for them is also a big passion of mine.
Oh my gosh, what don't you do, girl? You've got it all.
I know a little bit of everything.
But I also love how you just constantly are intertwining all those, and then you kind of just credit the fact that you are successful across the board because you do so many things. You appear in so many spaces and you interact in different ways with different types of people with different outcomes and goals. So unbelievable. And I think you are truly what it means to be a woman in sports. You are dynamic and you are willing to put the work in and you are able to pull people along and reach your goals. So what an incredible conversation and glimpse into all that you do. I'm so grateful to have learned all of it and to just celebrate you in a little way. You are more than deserving, but thank you so much for joining and for being such an example for not only women in sports, but just any professional and any really human who wants to take care of their body and get the best out of it. This has been so fun, Chioma. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You made this feel very comfortable for me. So, sometimes I get in my awkward stage, but this is just thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so grateful. And I know our listeners are curious of all the things. So how can people follow along with you? Because even just your Instagram, sometimes when you share some nuggets and I'm just like, gosh, I could just listen to you talk about this because you're educated and you just deliver it. But where can our listeners kind of follow along with you? And even if they're interested in your wellness journey and things of that nature, where can we find you?
Yeah, Instagram is where I'm the most active. So just Chioma dot my last name Atanmo. I've also gotten active on Threads, so that's been fun, which is just the same handle. And then my website is just mindfulappetite.com if you want to learn more about wellness resources. So
Okay.
yeah.
So fun. Chioma, Senior Director of Community Impact and the Victory Project at Sporting Kansas City, but truly a trailblazer in the world of sports. Keep doing your thing, girl. Very grateful for your time. And just, just overall baddie. I think we said at the beginning, but that's what it is. Girl, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Guys, that wraps up the show for the week. We have more sports and shenanigans for you coming next week. If you haven't followed us on Instagram, please do so. YouTube, and then, of course, look for the next pod when it drops next week. All right, see you next time.